Welcome to Taste Buds. I'm Debra Eckerling, goal strategist, writer, and foodie. And today I'm speaking with Melanie Lutz, author of, wait for it, Everything is Soup. Welcome, Melanie.
Thank you so much. I'm here for the Deb effect and the discussion of how we can set some goals for creating a magical and delicious life with everything is soup.
Awesome. Melanie, why write a book on soup? I mean, other than the fact that soup is like the best food on the planet. Go.
Go. Well, I love soup. Soup is life. So there was the first thing I learned how to cook was soup. It was a big pot, and whoever was responsible for getting the big pot could contribute to what was gonna go in the pot, so being that kind of a person who loved to hold the pot and put ingredients into the pot, I was the first one racing people to the big cupboard to get the soup pot. So it was a natural for me to jump into soup love.
Oh, so it was like a family activity.
We are big, proud Sicilians. I mean, the subtitle for Everything is Soup is Sicilian Wisdom, Nourishment and Recipes for a Delicious Life. So everything is soup was something that my grandfather, Pap, who we called him, would say to me, everything is soup. And it was like his thing for me. He had something for all of the grandchildren, but it was like wisdom delivered from my grandfather. Everything is soup. He'd sit us down and we would just go for it.
But you also have a Jewish part of you, and soup and Jewishness is also something that
Yes.
goes hand in hand.
I'm so glad you brought this up, and especially with this November, we just kind of came out of my dad's birthday was 11/1. He passed away 5 years ago, and we had someone dear to us in the family, Stu Steinberg, who passed away this year in the summer, and we during the process of writing this book, we included our Jewish family in this, and we had kind of a what I call a Sicilian stew, but it's a Jewish stew, that we put in there called Stu's stew for the lovely and beautiful and kind and just soulful, father of our Jewish descent who jumped over to, the other side to, sprinkle some magic on this cookbook. So his recipe is included in this. It is stew, and it is a hodgepodge of everything that you love and supports you and is there for you and uplifts, any boo-boo or anything that goes wrong goes in this pot, and he served it up and made it, just magic for anyone who sat down and shared a bowl with him. So, I did include a Jewish stew recipe in this Sicilian book to bring together both sides of our family.
And I don't think that that was the recipe you planned to share, but I think you need to. I think it
We called it in.
yeah, absolutely. The universe said, "No, it needs to be stew." And if you go to jewishjournal.com/podcast, you will get the recipe and read the article that goes with the episode. Usually I do this much later in the conversation, but, you all just jump right in.
100%.
Now, clearly, I love soup. I mean, obviously, I think I said that like 5 times already. I make it like at least once a month because it's like my mother's memories in the house. But there is something about soup that magnifies the food memory through the senses. Do you find that as well?
I 100% agree, and the vortex of a bowl of soup and the fact that we're, largely made up of water and that when you stir the pot, you create this alchemical experience of opening the heart. And so any soup that you put together becomes this, and I don't want to get into Macbeth, but like, toil, boil, it becomes this way that we connect through, generations of the earth's elements. I mean, I'm in the midst of, everything is soup, so I make soup pretty much every day, and I consider is tea soup? You know, Deborah, yes, it is. Tea is soup. This is a mulberry tree leaf, and so I made a stock, which we can't really see, but with mulberry tree leaves, which is great for your heart and it's something my mother taught me, in sharing the wisdom of the tree to the table. It was something it's literally shaped like a heart if you look at the leaf, and I use it, I'll use the leftover tea from this in a stock that, is like a vegetable stock, depending on how the soup day goes. So it's truly connected not just through ancestral and my patriarchal, which we don't, which I love to bring up because there's such a cast of characters, but my matriarchal lineage just learned how to use everything, tree, leaves, bark, roots, dandelion, every piece of things they saw in nature became things that healed us. And I just, as soon as my grandfather started, it's just everything is soup. He was really honoring his wife of, 50 years at that point who never saw a dandelion she didn't love to include in like what we were going to be eating that week when we visited them on the weekend. So it's really a testament to how powerful it is, just a big old pot of water and ingredients to become something super nourishing.
And you're talking about stirring the pot in a positive way, but stirring the pot also has negative connotations.
I mean, I agree with you, and it's how we heal though. This is I have Sicilian stock. My grandfather's mother had, met and fell in love with this beautiful, Italian Sicilian man in, northeastern Pennsylvania and proceeded to have 13 children. So we have a huge, huge family of cooks who love to make soup and to challenge us, with the idea of, who can be more delicious, who can be more robust. And we love to irritate each other and part of the cookbook, and the wisdom in the cookbook is that we do not all feel like super loving or kumbaya all the time. And sometimes it's important for the things that bug us to be brought out to the table for discussion. And the book also includes a healing, stir the pot, what happened today. "Oh, you were thrown in jail, Uncle Gene or whatever. We're gonna have a" you know, he never met a situation that he didn't wanna help and do the right thing, so Uncle Gene did have a run in with the popo occasionally, so she actually had a soup, that's in the book as well, that's freed from the grip of the popo, so he would stir the pot out there as a teenager running around the streets of, where they, grew up in Freeland, Pennsylvania. So, anyway, so yeah, we Sicilians love a good stir the pot.
And so, like a good pot of soup, you just like threw in every recipe you could think of into this cookbook.
I mean, it really was curating it down. There was a lot of lobbying, of I still have people pitching me soups that didn't make it into the book. So there's just a ginormous amount of recipes and soups. And my idea with this cookbook was there's people out there who love soup, and we want to celebrate soup because soup is so easy. The idea of we are here to nourish each other. We are here to have longer tables. We are here to really celebrate each other with the abundance that literally grows on trees. And I'm just honored to be able to be a vessel for the recipes that some of which, we found with like in a crumpled, you know, piece of paper that we divined what it could be as a soup. In essence, we don't remember, and no one really liked to detail out recipes because they were all like, "You'll have your own recipe with this." So the book has key ingredients to entice you into a deeper exploration of what your body's craving for the particular genre of soup. And with our Jewish and Sicilian kind of combo, this is where the biggest battle came in. We have something which is translates across all, all kind of cultural, things, but it's a penicillin chicken soup, right? So
Right.
we call ours Sicilians heal with love, Sicilian chicken soup or whatever. But there's definitely like the Jewish art. We had like a ours is better. And here's why battle of the penicillin chicken soups when we were taste testing some of these things. So each of us has a very strong, pull for what heals our soul. And you should listen to that. And that's what the book encourages as well.
So what was the criteria for a soup to be included?
That's a great question. I 100% was how much it meant to me. And honestly, the first recipe was we had an abundance of tomatoes and in the neighborhood here in Beechwood Canyon where I live. And so my neighbor has I guess a tomato farm, if you'd call it that. And when she goes away with her husband to camp, she asked me to be like her plant nanny. And so that was the first time I remembered this story about the tomato, like the sun is always shining tomato soup. That is the basis of everything for Sicilians. And I remembered like, oh, tomatoes are fruits, which through that process, I still it's a big joke and there's memes about it and all that kind of stuff, but it's literally a fruit, right? And so I started to go, well, who first taught me about tomatoes and fruits and those types of things? And then it led me to a story. And so then it just became like, oh, I'm digging more into my childhood and things I didn't remember. Like I didn't know until this tomato soup recipe that my grandfather's has 12 other siblings. I didn't know that. And so that was like screaming out, the tomatoes were saying, Mel, 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 Mel. You gotta make us, teach people how to make the soup. We're great. We're great. We're great. So I was like, oh, tomatoes. Thank you so much. Like, that's a great gift. Second, it was literally the plants through this biophilic movement that I'm a part of here in the canyon that was just like listening to them became this like ancestral wonderland of story. And so it just evolved through this memory game of the ingredients just speaking up. And if it was loud enough, it got included in the book, basically.
How does your Jewish culture factor in? Because your Sicilian background, very strong. How do you integrate your cultural background in soup and life?
I appreciate that question. I am deeply involved in ritual. It's a Shabbat on Fridays. I put away my phone. We gather and we make things together, to serve and deliver on our heritage. We read things. I like to read things in Hebrew. I like to listen to I'd like to engage with things that are outside of my normal activities. And for me, it's just been super important on every level to be in connection and communication on a daily basis, like with my Jewish roots and experiences and vision of the world and all of the traditions and reading through just symbols on the page and the ritual of being in the temple.
You deep dive like into everything, not just soup. Is that accurate?
But I think everything is soup. I'm a curious person, and I am joyfully a participant of the universe at large and allowing it to just unfold beautifully in front of me. And so it's really been a blessing. We all have our gifts that we're here to share. And I just love a good informed, you know, realization and connecting to things that really build structure and foundation.
What recommendations do you have for people to get better or become more at one with the soup that they're making?
Well, this is a beautiful question, and I enjoy, again, you heard me listening to ingredients. And so you don't know what the discovery is going to be when you remain open. And deepening this alignment with your soup pot is listening. I consider it listening to the ingredients, and whether you're a doctor, somebody who works in, food preparation or just goes to an office every day and, like, moves numbers around or those kinds of things, it's working with your hands and the ingredients to become, like, one with it, but it's just chopping is a form of meditation. Listening to the cabbage, like, there was a particularly cheeky, cabbage, at the farmer's market this week, and it had, like, that flappy, little lips or something, and I was like, "Whoa, that's something that really I'm gonna make some, cabbage dumplings, drop them into just, the soup stock the rest of the chicken soup stock that I had made." So, it's just being open, it's taking care with your experience of being in the moment, and I soup is the easiest thing to get comfortable with and to really, like I say, taste, taste, taste. There's no wrong ingredient. Like, I accidentally put in somebody had slipped in my ginger some kind of lemon pepper or something, and I accidentally had poured that into a soup, and I was like, "Well, this doesn't taste great." So then I did find a way to fix it kinda thing because I was expecting, like, a spicy ginger, pop, and I ended up including, like, some coconut milk, et cetera, to, like, tame it and just kinda knock it out, but, sometimes you just make an error, you just keep moving, and it ended up being something that I, poured over rice and was kinda delicious. I don't even know what we call it anymore. The idea that you can whatever happens with your soup, you can just become one with your tasting of it and add things that your body craves and spend the time with it is my advice on the everything is soup, kind of little book tour that we're doing is just really celebrate the ingredients that you have around you. If you haven't connected with your farmer's market, get out there and connect with your farmer's market. If you have a beloved tree, that you like a linden tree, like take it, take some leaves, make a tea, and then just go into the neighborhood and find yourself connected, to what's around you.
Thank you so much for the conversation and sharing your love with me. I now know that tea is soup. Where can people learn more about you and your new book?
All right, Mel's Loveland is my website, obviously, and there's Mel's Loveland, / everything is soup, and obviously just Google and, enjoy the love and soup movement because the first ingredient is always what? Love.
Love. Do you have any final soup for thought, Melanie?
I just think soup is life, and we are here to love each other, and when we make a delicious soup that we can serve, we're sharing what we love, and we're showing that we care.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Melanie Lutz, for joining me. Thank you for tuning in to Taste Buds with Deb. Don't miss an episode. Subscribe on YouTube, iTunes, and/or your favorite podcast platform. And if you go to jewishjournal.com/podcast, you can get the recipes and read the articles that go with each episode. And you can learn more at tastebudswithdeb.com. Until next time, food and bon appetit.